Good morning, children of the Most High. This is your brother Chukwemeka. This is part three of the call for our people to return to Omenani, and I cannot stress this enough. We've all been deceived to go and be looking for money, looking for this and that. But at the end of the day, how much money do you really need to exist? This is all deception. This too much distraction from what you are actually supposed to be doing is part of the deception that we go through in life. So it's important that we return to our culture. Our culture does not preclude us looking for money or being politically active or whatever. It does not do that. We cannot throw away our priceless culture. There are people who don't want to return to Omenani, to the Igbo way of life, because they are now Christians. And when I hear this kind of information, I just know that that person is extremely stupid because number one, Christianity does not mean you should abandon your tradition. That's number one. Number two, if you actually look at the Igbo tradition, it is biblical. That's why I tell brothers and sisters to stop going to church because in churches, you don't read the Bible there. Your pastors and your priests tell you what to read. They give you missals and bulletins to read. They tell you the section of the Bible to read. If you actually study the Bible, you will realize that this is Igbo tradition. Those people who are in the village doing Omenani, they are the ones doing the biblical tradition. Brothers and sisters, the very first Igbo man to read the Bible and write a book, he wrote that the Bible is talking about the Igbo people. The very first Igbo man. This is not today that the Most High raised people from among his people to teach us the ways, to call us back to his ways. It's not from today. I mean, 400 years ago, Ola Odekono wrote this book. The very first person in Igbo land on record to write a book. And what did he has to say? He said that our people are the people being talked about in the Bible. And that is continuing today. So anybody who is carrying Bible up and down, calling blood of Jesus, this and that, but say he does not want to live the Igbo way of life, that person is insane. Because if you follow the Igbo way of life, if you actually read the Bible, you will know that this is the Igbo way of life. When you read the Bible, you will know that this is the Igbo way of life. As I said in part one of this video series, um, the Igbo Omenani is a bunch of laws that basically dictate how you live your life, how you conduct your affairs as an Igbo man. And it's also echoed in the Bible. If you read the book of Leviticus chapter 18 in verse 5, it says that these are my laws and my statutes. If you keep them, you will live in them, you abide in them. That's basically how you live your life. If you also read the book of Exodus, in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 6 verse 1, it says that this is what you do in the land. That translates directly to the Hebrew language as Omenani, what you do in the land. So it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that the Igbo tradition is what is actually being described in the Bible. People have said this long time ago. I'm not the first person. In fact, the first Igbo man to write a book said this. Those who don't believe it now are just being brainwashed by Christianity. So, brothers and sisters, it is because of this brainwash that somehow encourage us to keep doing what we are doing. We are not going to give up. For the sake of our people, we'll keep calling our people to come back to the tradition. Now, what I want to talk about today is related to sexual conduct. The Igbo Omenani, the biblical tradition related to sexual conduct. And I'll follow the pattern I used in the other video in part two of this. I'll tell you what the Igbo tradition is, and then I'll also show you where this is echoed in the Bible. Now, in Igbo tradition, it is an abomination for a man to dress or act like a woman. Unsan. It's a complete abomination. I don't care whether you are just acting a movie or whether you are doing theater arts or whatever. A man to dress like a woman, it's an abomination. If you're sitting down with elders and let's say a child, go and put a male child, go and put on the mother's shoe, just to walk around. You will see how elders will rebuke him immediately. Rebuke that nonsense out of the child. This is Igbo tradition. This is the way we conduct our affairs. Okay? This is the way we live our life. This is Igbo tradition. It's an abomination. Cross dressing is an abomination in Igbo land. It's a no-no. A man does not dress like a woman. A woman does not dress like a man. What that means is that, and I know in the Christian churches, they spend a significant amount of time arguing whether women should wear trouser or women should not wear trouser. That is a very stupid thing to say. The reason it is stupid because I had this conversation when I was Christian and I just saw the stupidity in it. Even with priests and bishops, they were having this argument whether a woman should wear trouser or a woman should not wear trouser. Look at the point here. This is the Igbo tradition. There are clothes that are meant for women. For instance, in those days, our ancestors used to tie a wrapper, both male and female. But there are wrappers that are meant for men, and there are wrappers that are meant for women. There are trousers that are meant for women, and there are those that are meant for men. A man should not wear a trouser that is meant for a woman. A woman should not wear a trouser that is meant for a man. It's as simple as that. It's not whether women should wear trousers. That's just stupidity. And they just keep us in that argument to distract us from having real conversations. Man should not dress like a woman, and woman should not dress like a man. Another thing is that sexual conduct in Igbo land, incest is an abomination or alo. If you have sexual contact with someone that is related to you, your next of kin, your sister, your brother, your cousin, someone that's directly related to you by blood, it is an abomination. Alo. Okay. And again, there's a situation we have in here. I don't know if some of you have seen that video where a young man decided to marry his sister. See, people go and misquote Bible and try to use it to justify their stupidity and their distorted behavior. This is not the first time. In the biblical days, there were time if in the early biblical days, there were time when people were allowed to marry their next of kin to form a community because the Most High wanted to raise our community from a line, from a breed, a line that is pure from Noah. And that is why Isaac had to go and marry from the mother's community. That is why Jacob also had to do the same thing to marry Laban, who is the relative of the mother. Sorry, the daughters of Laban, who are the relatives of his mother. But as our community grew, incest, marrying someone that is closely related to you, is no longer allowed. And that is clearly echoed in the Bible. Brothers and sisters, go and read the book of Leviticus chapter 18 and chapter 19. It is clearly echoed in the Bible. Do not approach your next of kin to uncover their nakedness. Leviticus chapter 18 verse 6. So anyone, and the Most High made it very clear that this is an abomination because we are now a community. We now have different people in different tribes. It's no longer the primal days of our community. So the people who are saying that in the Bible, Abraham married his sister, this one married his brother, this is an abomination you're bringing on yourself. Anybody knows that when you go and have sexual contact with your relation, look, it's an abomination. And you must cleanse the land. You must. In fact, I'll be doing a video on this in the future just to explain it. When you have sexual contact with your relation, you must clean. You must cleanse that abomination. There are rituals that need to be done. It doesn't matter what you go and do, whether you go and do confession or go and do this or that. You must remove that abomination. A priest, a Levite from Nri or from any of the Evite communities will have to do the ritual to cleanse that abomination. So it's a very serious crime. So for those of you who are going out there, just be careful what you're doing. Anybody who knows that family in Ihiala that did this abomination, that's why in Igbo land is very, very important. If you look at that video, you see the chief of that community said In those days, they will banish these people out of this community because they have committed an abomination. And you heard that chief, he said very clearly, for those of you who have not seen that video, you can refer to the video. But the chief said very clearly that they have to go and cleanse the abomination these people have done. You have to cleanse it from the land, otherwise, it will affect the land. Another thing is this in Igbo land, it's an abomination to have sexual contact with the same sex. Homosexuality, lesbianism, whatever they call it nowadays, I don't really care. This is an abomination. It is an abomination. This is why it's actually unheard of. It's an complete abomination that when people hear it, they tear their clothes and say, what is going on here? They banish those people from the community. It's complete abomination. I don't care whether you're in the 21st century. I don't care whether you're scared of people calling you homophobic or alo, it's an abomination. Brothers and sisters, again, go and read the book of Leviticus chapter 18. It's all there. These things are all there. In Igbo land, it's an abomination. That should not be tolerated. It is because of the piles and piles of this abomination that we are doing today that we are seeing a whole lot of homosexual activity going on. I mean, I'm hearing that there are homosexual nightclubs now in Igbo land, from Port Harcourt all the way to Owerri. I'm hearing, I don't know. But these are abomination, and this is against our laws. This is against the laws of the land. These are things that you do, and the land will uproot you, the land will kick you out. You should know that as an Igbo man, you should not do any of these things. And again, I did a video explaining how the origin of homosexuality. Those of you who think that homosexuality is a natural thing, there's something wrong with you. It's not wrong because it's not natural. I mean, it's simple logic. If animals, plants, and animals were attracted to their kind, to the same sex, then they will not reproduce, and then there will be nothing living. It's an extinction. So people who are propagating homosexuality are those who don't want to see you reproduce. It's a population reduction strategy. And there are people who inadvertently do things that can make their children or even make themselves become homosexual. I did a video on how homosexuality is transmitted. It is a disease. Oyakobo. It is a disease. It is transmitted from one person to the other. Please go and see my video on homosexuality. I enjoy, brothers and sisters, to see the videos I have here. I've tried to explain a number of things, and I don't really like repeating myself in this video. But this is an abomination in our culture. If you see yourself behaving this way, go and look for solution. There are solutions. Go and look for an Igbo dibia that can take care of this. There are solutions. And those of you who are having children, who are having boys and girls, make sure you don't do something that will make them prone to homosexuality, to make them be infected with this disease. It is a disease. Oya kob, oya diha. And any disease is contagious. You can contact it from other people, just like every other disease. That's what homosexuality is. Okay, I want to put this out there. You have to be very, there are chemicals that you can ingest that will make you homosexual. There are chemicals. These are experiments that has been concluded by scientists long time ago. It's not open for debate. I don't care what they are saying on CNN. I don't care what John Oliver says. It is not open for debate. Scientists have concluded this long time ago. I'll refer you to a scientist named Tyrone Hayes in the United States. I think he's in the University of California, where he did a research that shows that there are some fertilizers in food, fertilizers that are used in food that can make frogs gay, make them homosexual. These are concluded scientific research that has been done. If it can happen to frog, why can't it happen to humans? Given the right dosage, it can happen to humans. And this is the scientific work that has been released. Those of you who know who have seen the work of Tyrone Hayes, you know that for him to even publish his work, his life was threatened, his family was threatened. There are those scientists that have done the same work. There are Italian scientists that have concluded from their research that homosexuality is caused by vaccines. All these things are captured in my video on homosexuality. So this is an abomination in our land. We shouldn't do it. If you find yourself on that part of the on that part of the divide, I don't know, maybe your parents stupidly sent you to a seminary and you contracted this disease from these idiots and these criminals that come here and say they are priests. Go and get yourself cleansed. It can be cleansed. Look for a dibia, an Igbo dibia that can take care of this. May the Most High bless you. I'll also do part 4 of this series, and yes, I think I'll do part 4 and maybe a part 5 of this return to Omenani, just to demonstrate to brothers and sisters that we have to return to the ways of our fathers. We have to return to the ways of our fathers and adopt it to the 21st century, because this is the biblical way. If you're carrying Bible up and down saying you're a Christian, no, you're just practicing European culture. It does not change anything. It doesn't stop them from hating you. You are just practicing European culture. If you want to practice the biblical culture, then you have to go to the village and do what your ancestors did. May the Most High bless you. Salam.